And this is Baruch Fleischman. I'm here at the Tikkun Elevator Kollel, and we're continuing on with the degrees of unconsciousness that Rabbi Yosef Chaim Mimran, wants to teach us about. He says like this: a person must attach his thoughts and raise them until he connects to what there is to connect to. What does that mean? After that, he has reached the level of Ruach HaKodesh. So it's possible to actually open up within your mind all the gates until you are in the presence of infinity. That's called Ruach HaKodesh. Then he will be sent a power from on high, which will allow him to be attached to Hashem. Saying that this is something achievable for any Jew who wants to practice the Torah, and also gets into this kind of Kabbalistic meditation. So before you are firmly established in the state of full consciousness, because that's a difficult thing to reach. You could reach it, like for me, I'm trying, but you could reach it sometimes, but the world keeps overtaking you, then you have to reach back. You shift back and forth for a while between consciousness and unconsciousness, between the state of presence and the state of mind identification. Now, I'm not sure what these words mean. So, mind identification, I'm thinking myself that identification, when you can identify anything, this is already a lower level. Because pure consciousness, and this is what I'm thinking, has no identification. You lose it and you return to it again and again. Eventually, soul awareness becomes your predominant state by continuously trying to open up your mind to realize that the phrase that is really strong in the Hebrew is Ein od milvado, there is none beside him. For most people, this is experienced either never at all, or only accidentally and briefly on rare occasions without being recognized for what it is. Most humans alternate not between consciousness and unconsciousness, but only between different levels of unconsciousness, not being aware of what's inside of us and what's inside of everything that's going on in the world. In sleep, you constantly move between the phases of dreamless sleep and the dream state. Similarly, in wakefulness, most people only shift between ordinary conscious unconsciousness and deep unconsciousness. Now, what does he mean by unconsciousness? So here it means being identified with your thought processes and emotions, your reaction, desires, and aversions. Now, we are constantly living in a world of challenges, a world that promotes provokes intense emotion within us. It's most people's normal state. That's normal. That's the way it is. Why did this happen? Why does this happen? What am I going to do? The IRS calling me. In that state, you are run by the egoic mind. That's the mind of the ego, you. And you are totally unaware of the vibrational energy of your own soul. It's a state not of acute pain or unhappiness, but of an also almost continuous low level of unease, discontent, boredom, or nervousness, a kind of background static. You may not realize this because it's so much a part of, quote, normal living. Just everybody else is going through the same things, and then you see politics and all craziness. Just as you are not aware of a continuous low background noise, just as the hum of the air conditioner until it stops. When it suddenly does stop, there's a sense of relief. Many people use alcohol, drugs, food, work, surfing, the internet, different kinds of entertainments, television, or even shopping as anesthetics in an unconscious attempt to remove the basic unease. When this happens, an activity that might be very enjoyable if used in moderation becomes imbued with a compulsive or addictive quality. And all that is either achieved through it is extremely short-lived. It's symptom relief, that's all. And that's really a little bit about the society. Here we're in the United States, but maybe everywhere. the societies in which we live. When things go wrong, when the ego is threatened or there's a major challenge, threat, or loss, real or imagined in your life situation, or let's say a conflict in a relationship, the unease of an ordinary unconsciousness turns into the pain of deep unconsciousness, a state of more acute and more obvious suffering or unhappiness. You become totally consumed by the emotion of the time and the difficulty in which you find yourself. Remember the phrase, Ein od milbado, there is nothing besides him. You are a manifestation of his will, and I am as well. It is an intensified version of ordinary unconsciousness, different from it, not in kind, but in degree. Let me see if I can get this back up a little bit. There we go. In ordinary unconsciousness, habitual resistance to or denial of what is, Ein od milbado, there is nothing besides him, creates the unease and discontent. You feel that the particular person, agency, situation in which you find is an independent act that can be dealt with, or needs to be dealt with, or how are you going to handle it? Most people accept this as normal living. When this resistance becomes intensified through some challenge or threat to the ego, it brings up intense negativity such as anger, acute fear, aggression, depression, and so on. Deep unconsciousness also means that the emotional ego has been triggered and that you have become identified with it. Physical violence would be impossible without deep unconsciousness. Just imagine that people feel there was an assassination attempt on Donald Trump, or any murder, anything like that, can only come about of not being conscious at all of where you really are in the world. It can also occur easily whenever and wherever a crowd of people or even an entire nation generate a negative collective energy field. And he writes over here in this little blurb, when resistance becomes intensified through some challenge, it brings up intense negativity, such as anger, acute fear, aggression, depression, and even physical violence. This is Rabbi Yosef Chaim Mimran. I'm not the tzaddik. I'm the reader, but I appreciate it.